Illinois. You're on with Mandisa, Janet, and Claire. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Josh.
All three of you.
Right.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Did you
Hi,
have
everyone.
a question?
Good,
for
thank
us?
you.
More of a story and then possible, looking for maybe advice after the story. It won't take long because it didn't take me long with the screener. I'm just
Okay.
in a position where I don't really know what to do, so I was seeing if this show might be able to help me out with that. So I am an atheist, and my soon-to-be ex-wife is a Catholic. And we got married and then had a child, and now we're going through a divorce. And she knew beforehand that I was an atheist, so it really wasn't a surprise or anything to her to do any of that. But, like, she started to have problems with me, and it seems like once she had one problem, everything else became a problem. So it wasn't a big deal to her before, but now it's a big deal that I'm an atheist. And she, being a Catholic, is very, very, she really wants to raise our daughter as a Catholic, and really is adamant that I just play along.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so the problem is that I'm not going to do that, and she thinks that is me ruining her life, essentially, or trying to ruin her life and all of that. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out maybe ways to go about doing that, because I don't ever imagine that it will be that I'm just actively denying their religion in front of them or anything. I just said I'm not going to reinforce it, and I'm not going to teach her that that's what's right. I'll teach her what I think is right in my own time.
Mm-hmm. I think you've got the answer right there. Have you read Dale McGowan's In Faith and in Doubt? It talks about this very sort of thing where you have a religious parent and a non-religious parent raising a child and how you work that out.
I have not, but could you repeat the name of it?
In Faith and in Doubt.
In Faith and in Doubt.
Yeah, and it has to be all about the kid. If she's trying to make this about you, then that's a problem. It should be about what's best for the kiddo. And if you keep emphasizing that that's where you are, what is best for my child? I will not disparage what you want to do, and I ask that you not disparage what I want to do. And we are both doing what we think is best for our kiddo. And in the end, let's hope that she's going to be okay with that. Right?
Yeah.
Josh,
yeah.
I had a question for you.
Sure.
Have you and your soon-to-be ex-wife done any couples counseling?
I asked for that because that was my thing that I wanted to do to try to avoid divorce in the first place, and she just didn't want to do any of that. She said at that point she had endured enough and didn't want to even try that.
Well, I just was going to mention that the communication between you and this woman is going to be really important as you move forward. Mm-hmm. And I think that the book that Claire mentioned, written by Dale McGowan, would be really helpful. But chances are she's probably not going to read that book.
No.
And if there is any way that you can find a way to help improve the communication as you move forward, if it devolves, then I think then your child is going to be possibly negatively impacted. So that anything you can do to try to improve the communication can be very focused just on your child. even if you both have decided this relationship is over in terms of it being romantic or intimate or even a friendship, but as co-parents, if there is any way that you can seek some kind of mediation to just work out that particular communication about your child, I think that would be really valuable for all concerned.
Mandisa?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to do that. It just seems that she thinks being her mother means that she knows everything about our daughter, and that I, being the father, know nothing about it.
Here's just a weird suggestion, perhaps, but a lot of people, not a lot, but some people of faith do not trust secular mental health professionals. It may be something she would be open to for you two to kind of split the time if, for example, you would agree to meet with a person from her church. I mean, I'm not saying that you would necessarily get a lot out of that, but if that might help to get her to agree to see, say, your choice of therapist part of the time. I know this is sounding like, well, this could probably never happen that she'd agree to any of this, but again, I don't know. It's just. I feel for you. I think you're in a difficult situation.
Mandisa.
If I ask a question, Josh, is this?
Yes.
Did I get up? So was there, did this all, I guess, did the discourse start once you had your child, or were there some things that you may have picked up about her background, or something that may have been sort of like, I guess, a warning sign that she may not be open once, even with your atheism? Because one thing I find about relationships, and I speak from experience as well, is that when we're getting to know our partners, even before we have children, there are some things that we may notice or that we may see happening that we just kind of either ignore, or we think that they may not be a big deal right now. And then we may not realize how much of an issue it may be later on down the line, especially once you have children. Right. So do you know if there's any other sort of traumatic issues that, or concerns that your soon-to-be ex-wife has been or is going through in addition to this, or that may have triggered it? Because oftentimes we may not think about that when this time comes along. So, I mean, it's just kind of a thought there.
Yeah, so in my particular case, the old cliche, hindsight is 20/20. Their whole family is really, really Catholic. Like, they never miss a Sunday, kind of, take everything literally type of thing. So, but the other part of that is that her dad is very, very, very controlling. So I think, because in having conversations with her about how we believed differently, because that's something that I really enjoy doing, I kind of got the sense that she kind of just believed because he does.
That's her choice.
I absolutely agree, and I didn't fault her for that at all. I don't have any problems with people being religious or anything. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dated her and ended up marrying her in the first place.
Yeah, but the thing that I want to get to real fast, I'm sorry, is that your wife doesn't have any choice, but that really made me jump when you said that the father was super controlling. That, to me, means that you are that much more important to your little girl's life in learning
I
about.
absolutely agree with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm glad you get that. Okay, go on. I'm sorry to have interrupted.
Yeah.
I felt that was really.
Oh no, you're fine. I just it's something I kind of knew but never really thought about as something that would negatively impact our relationship. And so when it did, it kind of came as a slap in the face and everything, because now she's just ultra Catholic, and our daughter's going to Catholic school, and there's nothing you're going to say to stop that. And just everything that she can think of that she thinks of as ways that I would be ruining our daughter's life. And I'm starting to break up a little bit. Sorry.
It's hard.
It is now a problem when it wasn't.
Right.
I just really, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with such a stressful situation, and I must feel like there's a lot that's out of your control, which as a parent is so difficult to contend with that. I think what we were talking about before about self-care for parents is going to be really important for you to make sure you've got a good support system and therapy if you think that would be helpful, but just navigating this whole really stressful thing and then wanting to be there and present for your child, just be sure to take care of your own needs, your mental health needs and things like that. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think another thing that will be important is to just continue to emphasize and stress to your daughter how much you love her, how much you care about her, and how much you will always have her best interest at heart. And how old is your daughter right now?
She'll be 2 in March.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
so yes, things are
it's
still
relatively recent, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that there might be a temptation to, because I remember this with my parents. Some parents may be tempting to point the finger at the other parent, but as hurtful as it is, it would be best to just, like you said, like Claire said, keep the emphasis on the child, even if your soon-to-be ex-wife is not. I know there's the saying about being the bigger person, but in this instance, continuing to, show your daughter that affection and that, dad is always here for her and that you're going to, continue to put your best foot forward. Is going to be extremely important.
I don't envy your position, Josh. I do hope that what we've said might help a little bit, and I would really appreciate it if you called back in the future to let us know how things are going.
I absolutely will.
Okay.
I catch all the shows every Sunday, so
Super. That's great.
It's replaced church for me.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
Right.
Thank you.
I've been watching for several years, so.
Excellent.
Thank you for sticking on through to this show and for calling in.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Absolutely.
You have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay.
Bye. Okay. We could play Tales from the Crib a little bit. Are you all ready for that? And then we can take a call. Who wants to go first?
Sure.
Mandisa, you go first.
Oh, no. Do I have to?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So are we supposed to be like telling sort of like an embarrassing tale about us and our kids, or just
if educational, funny, insightful, highbrow, lowbrow, anything that...
Okay. So yesterday, my youngest, Miles, participated in the Fayette County, Georgia, Fayette County Student Technology Competition. Last year, it was like a regional event, and then he and his classmates went to the statewide competition. But this year, it was a bit larger because the county had kind of gotten itself together to get it, to have the children participate. And so, interestingly enough, his classmate, who he was supposed to present with, didn't show up. Oh. And they had stayed after school to practice and everything. But yesterday, when I went with him, he presented to the judges by himself. And Claire is, I think you and I might be friends on Facebook, Janet.
Oh.
If y'all see me post about my kids, Miles isn't shy at all. He'll speak his mind. He's very outgoing. He's the one who will, he's my little clapback kid. He's very quick on his feet, when it comes to thinking and saying things, sometimes a bit too much. Sometimes his mouth may get him into trouble. So once we were done, though, one of his classmates asked him how the process went and who was in the room. And he said, well, it's just the two judges, unless your parent is standing right outside the room. And I just looked at him like, ew, like, so what? Like, I had to be there with you.
Oh, Mom. Exactly.
But, the thing with us is that as a family, my husband is he can be pretty snarky. And he has done that with, his mom. And I know for me, I've had to kind of learn to say, hey, when the kids say certain things, it's okay to, to have that banter back and forth with them, as long as they know how far it is to, they push it.
Yeah.
But in this case, I was just like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
But it was just funny because I'm not sure anyone else would have said anything like that. But yes, he was just like, yeah, unless your mom, basically, yeah, it was the two judges there, just unless your parent was standing right there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, really? Hint, their little kids.
Right. Right. I embrace being that mom. Everybody talks about that mom. I'm like, I am that mom. I am all over my kids, everything they do. I'm all, yeah. Embrace it.
Right.
Be that mom.
I wanted to make sure he was in the right place at the right time. And he ended up winning second place in his category. So I think that, considering that he had to present by himself, that went really, really well.
Go Miles.
So, he and I kind of went back and forth about how he should dress because, some of the kids just came in their regular clothes, which is fine. But I'm like, look, you might want to be a little bit more presentable. Even if you wear like a dress shirt with sneakers, or you wear your shoes with some slacks and a shirt. But you need to look uniformed. And he's just like, I don't care. I don't care how I dress. I just want to go. But no, so we went, we go back and forth on these things. We have these little debates, between, parent and child, so I'll make compromises, with my kids too. But when it comes to the day of, and they need to be paying attention to what they need to do, it's like, hey, let's make sure we have this. Let's make sure we have this process,
right?
On and make sure we have everything going correctly because, it is a competition and we do want him to be prepared. And especially because he likes technology and he's looking into going to this as a field now. He's getting into, double digits. So I'm hoping that, he continues to stay with it. And I think he will, but just kind of, he's my, he's the baby. He's the baby, he's the one who's kind of and he's kind of a little smart, but, and all of them, all my kids kind of are, but
it'll serve them well
that was
later.
Just a funny little thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just very fun. Yeah, because he'll know how to stand up for himself.
Right. Absolutely.
Especially if he, and they know that if someone's bothering them, then they know what to do as opposed to, and they'll know to tell us as opposed to just staying silent and not saying anything.
Right. You want to go next?
Why don't you go?
Oh, gosh. I've been thinking about this and trying to decide which story to tell. So this is a short but sweet one. When my daughter was just a few months old and my son was 2 years and a bit, my husband had to go on a business trip for a week or something like this. Well, I was barely holding it together as it was. If he was going to be gone, then I didn't know what I was going to do, and so I went and stayed with my in-laws for that week. And it was the perfect thing to do because I hardly saw my children. Nana and Papa were all over the kiddos, and I was happy because I was being fed well, and I got to do a little R&R, which was awesome. And so at one point, I would go every day for walks because as awesome as it is to be taken care of and so forth, you got to get out of the house. And I had one of those trams that has a front seat and a back seat. And so I stuck Cole in the front seat and Renee in the back seat,